Hi guys, my name is Peace Adebayo and welcome back to the channel. So today we'll be learning how to sew an underbust corset top with a draped cup. As you can see in my previous video, we learned how to draft this underbust corset top. So today we'll be learning how to join it together and also sew it together. As you can see it on me, see how beautiful it looks like. So I've placed my plain pattern as my plain paper that I use for the pattern drafting. I've placed it on my fabric. I placed it on my fabric. One is Ankara, the cup side, and the yoke for the back is a plain material which is crepe, and this is the back with the zipper allowance also, and I added half inch round all the fabric. So now this is the cup part, and I also cut lining for the cup parts, and I used the same fabric for the lining. In case you don't have enough fabric, you can use lining. So now I'm going to go and sew a straight line up. In case you don't know where your straight line will be, you don't know where the point will stop, you are going to just take that your cup pattern, and you see that part is pointed at that part. That's where you sew it. You sew a straight line and stop. So I'll go on my machine and sew it. So this is the yoke for the back also. I'm going to remove the paper and also go and sew a straight line also. I use the same crepe to line it, but you can also use lining. So I'm going to go and sew a straight line, as you can see on this point here. I'll go on my machine and sew it. I've done that for the cup. I've gone on my machine and sew it. I've done that for the cup and also for the yoke of the back. As you can see, the cup, I just went and I sew half inch, and I also did that for the yoke of the back. As you can see here, I've done the same. I just went down, I sew it straight. I lined them. Yes, I lined them with the same fabric, the same material. So I'm going to bring the front part, the Ankara part. I'm going to just remove the paper from it. I've gone also and cut my lining. Also, so I'm just removing the paper from it. So this is my front part. I'm just chalking the back side, so I'll note my back from my front. So I'm opening it up. I will go on my machine and join them together. I'll join this front piece together and also do the same for the lining. I'll join the front piece together. I'll join it for the Ankara part and also for the lining. So I'll just go on my machine and join them together. I'm done joining them. As you can see, this middle part, I went and ironed it. It's looking like there's nothing there, but I also went and ironed it where I joined it. So on that point where I joined it, I'm going to just put this, let me say my bias. I'm going to put it, I'm just going to go and sew it, stitch it. I'll go and stitch it twice on my machine for my boning. I'll go on my machine and stitch it for my boning. As you can see, I've stitched it. I'll turn it to the right side. As you can see, there is no line. You will not see any indication there that I made any stitches, but it's actually very neat. As soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to take my cup part, this cup part that I made. You see this from this point where my line stopped, where I sew it, from that point where I stopped, I'm going to go and make a gather stitches from that point to this place here. I'll go and make a gather stitches. I'll go and make the gather stitches round. So I've actually gone and made my gather stitches, and I left two ropes so that I'll be able to drag I'll be able to drag the ropes to get my squeezing, because there was actually a squeezing on the cup part. It was not actually firm, so I'll do that to get my squeezing. So trying to squeeze I'm trying to squeeze them together, trying to make that squeezing on the bust part together. This is actually what I'm doing. I'll try and drag the rope carefully so that it won't cut, to get that squeezing, or should I call pleating, but it's actually a squeezed something. So I'm trying to get it. I've done it for this other cup, for this first cup, and I'm going to do it for the second cup also. So I'm doing this for the second cup also. I'm actually done with the second cup and done with the first cup. So I'm going to place my Ankara pattern. I'll take one side of the cup, but before then I'll just on this middle part I'll just come and chalk half inch, and also come to this armhole side and do the same. I'll chalk half inch. So from that half inch, that's where I'm going to start joining my cup, the draped cup. That's where I'm going to join it. I'll also stop at the other half inch of the middle part. That's where I'll stop joining my cup also. I've measured it round. I have 11 and a half. I measured it round and I have 11 and a half. I also take my cup and measure 11 and a half on the cup. I'll make sure it's also 11 and a half, so that by when I sew it, I won't have excess and it won't be short. So it's 11 and a half. I'm now going to go and join it together. I'll go and join it together. I'll try and join the cup to the fabric. I'm trying to join it. I'll use my pin and hold it before I go to my machine and sew it round. I'm using my pin to hold it, as you see me doing. I'm using my pin to hold it neatly. I'm using my pin to hold it so it will be very firm. It will be neat and firm, and it will make it very easier for me when joining it. As soon as I'm done with this cup, I'll also do the same for the other side before going to my machine to join it. So this is it. I'll go on my machine and join and sew it round. I'm placing it on my machine now, and I'm going to sew it neatly. I'm going to sew it round as you see me doing. I'm done joining it, and I'm going to do the same for the other side. I'm joining it. As I'm joining it, as I'm also removing my pin also, so that the needle won't break on the pin. I'm actually done joining the cup. As you can see, it's already bringing the shape. You're already seeing the beauty. Now I'm going to go and line it. I'm going to line this part first. I'll place my lining on it, take the draped cup inside, and just go and line it. You just need to pay attention on how I did this. So I actually went on my machine and lined the other side instead of the right side. I felt it would be more easier that way. I didn't line the right side again, so I'm lining. I just went and I lined this side by my left hand side, and I'm just notching it. So when I was notching my fabric, I mistakenly notched my lining. I mistakenly used my scissors and notched it. So it's actually something easy. I'll just go on my machine and stitch that place I cut. I'll just go and stitch it on my machine. I've gone on my machine and stitched it down. I stitched this point down. So to line the other part of the cup, which you have to pay close attention to because it's a very crucial part, I'll just raise my lining up and also raise the fabric up. I'll use my lining and cover it on this fabric. I'll cover it on this fabric and make sure that my lining is facing the white side. That's the cup part. My lining is facing that side, and I'm just going to push that cup side inside that lining and just go and sew it round. I'll just go and sew it round also. That's how easy to line it. But in case you still don't understand how I did this, I'm going to come over it again. I'm still going to show you how I'm going to line it again. So just pay close attention to it again. This is it. This is my lining. I will take my lining up and push this fabric, this other side, inside. I've pushed it inside. This is my lining. I will take my lining and cover it. I've covered my lining, and like I said earlier on, that my cup side, this white side must be facing the lining side. It must be facing the lining side, so that's equally all for that. And I'll just go on my machine and sew it. So I'm going on my machine to sew it. That's to cover it, to line it. As you see me doing, I'm lining the other parts of the cup. So I'm done doing that. I'm going to open it up and go and sew that ½ inch I left. I'll go and sew a straight line across it. I'll just go and sew it. Okay, slanty line, yes, across it to close that point. And I'm going to notch my bust parts, my cup parts. I'm going to notch them so that it's balanced well. As soon as I'm done notching it, I'm just going to fix my boning inside that bias line. That bias line I sew, I'm going to fix my boning inside the bias, and I left like ½ inch down for stitching, so that when I'm stitching my down part to it, it won't break needles. After I'm done with that, I'll go and close these sides. I'll go and line it. I'll go and line them. That's closing of the sides. Go and do that neatly on my machine. So So I've closed the sides. After I'm done doing that, I'm just going to take my back piece. I'll notch my zipper allowance on that line so that I'll know where my zip is supposed to be on the wrapper, on the fabric. So I've notched it. This is the white piece. I placed it on that zipper allowance point. From that point, that was where I placed my white piece. This is the armhole side, and that's the neck side, which is at that zipper allowance side. So I'm going to place my lining. I'll cover it. After I cover it, I'll just spin it round and go on my machine and sew it round also. I'm going to pin it round for the both sides and go on my machine and sew them round. I'm doing it for the other side. I'm also pinning it round. I'm gonna cover my lining on it and also pin it round and go on my machine and sew them together. Go and sew them together. On this point I'm showing you here, I'm actually done doing that. So I'm going to turn out my fabric. As you can see, I notched it, so I'm going to turn it out and go and iron it before joining the shoulder. So I'm turning it out. As you can see, it's already coming out. It's looking beautiful already. Oh my god, the dress is looking beautiful already, even without finishing it yet. So this is my zipper allowance line. To get my zipper allowance line, I'll measure 1.5 inch from that zipper allowance side. From the up side, I'll measure 1.5 inch downwards. I'm checking my 1.5 inch. We use my ruler and draft a straight line down. After I'm done doing that, I'll just measure 3.5 inch up and down and draft a straight line for my darts. But then before then, I'll notch my dart point so that it will be easier for me to get my dart point for the second side of the back. So after I'm done doing that, I'm going to take a straight line down to that point I notched, and that is my dart. I'll just go and sew my dart on my machine and do the same for the other side of the back. I'm going to go and sew my dart now straight on my machine and also do the same for the other side of the back. I'm done joining my darts. The next thing to do now is to join my shoulder. I'm going to place them the right side facing each other, and I'm going to do it for the other side also, the right side facing each other. I'm going to open up the shoulder for my back. I'll open it up and cover it on the front shoulder. It's very easy and simple. And cover it on the front shoulder. As you can see, as I did it, I'm just going to pin it. I'm going to pin it together and go and sew it on my machine. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side, for the other shoulder. I'm going to cover this back piece. I'm going to cover it on the front piece and pin it together. I'll pin it together and go and sew that straight line. Go and sew the straight line on my machine. As soon as I'm done with that, I'm done with it. The next thing is to go on my machine and fix my zip on my zipper allowance line. I'm going to take my zip and go and fix it on my machine before joining the sides. I'm done fixing the zip. It's looking beautiful already. Now I'm going to join my sides together, my body shape. I'm going to chalk it out and go and join them on my machine. I'll therefore go and fix my bishop sleeve on my dress. The tutorial of how I cut this bishop sleeve is not yet out on my channel, but I fixed the bishop sleeve. So now I've gone on my machine and folded these gathers. I've folded them. I folded the down parts and also the edges so that it will be neat when I join them together. I folded the edges. That's the edges that is going to be at the zipper allowance side, the middle of that zipper allowance side. I've folded them and the down parts, and I've gone made that gathers round the dress, and you can see how beautiful the dress is looking like already. Check it out now. It's looking beautiful already. Look at the gathers, look at the sleeve, look at the draped cup, look at the dress. Oh my god, it's fine already. So now I'm going to place my button on the dress. I'm going to place my button and go and tack it. I'll use my needle and thread and tack it down. So this is how it's going to look like when I use my needle and thread to tack the button down. And please don't forget to click on my subscribe button. Be cool. Please subscribe now, for this beautiful dress. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Peace Adebayo. I love you guys. And don't forget to follow me up on Instagram. My name is Peace Adebayo to see more dresses that I'm gonna be making, the tutorials also. And this is the dress on me. Look at how beautiful it is. And thank you so much, guys. I love you. Bye.